I know you've seen it. I've seen it. Everybody's seen it. Steve Harvey, I think Charlemagne the God. They always talk about how they've become more successful or have been able to kind of walk in their purpose because of their dedication to their wives, their women. Their Do you believe that to be true? I don't think it's just being faithful. I think it's like, one, I think you have to choose the right, because you can be faithful, but you can also be with the wrong person. So I don't think faithful is like the way they talked about it. Is really, it really doesn't have to do with being with the right person. They saying like once I committed myself to my family and my wife, then my life started to go in a positive path. That's their saying. I feel like you need to be with the right person, because just because you faithful don't mean that that person is going to push you and like have you do better either.
So
So
I see both.
that's the
I
conversation
see
that I'm
both.
trying to.
I
What you
think I
mean?
see both. It's like, so it's an order. So when you're saying about being faithful to that one person, whatever, I think you do have to be in order. So whoever your head is, mine is Christ or what have you. But then it's your wife and kids. When you're in order, then things will work out better for you. If you are out of order, you're all over the place, right? That's one perspective. But I also believe what you're saying, that it is the right mate. Um, because if they're not in a certain mindset, it's not a shot to that other person, but if they're not having a certain mindset, how can they help you grow? They don't know where to go, you know? But the reason why I say this is a person who is meant to be in your life, whether they were a mate or not, they can put you onto something that you wouldn't even thought about. For example, um, we discussed this before, where a person that I dated exposed me to things that I would have never thought of, into people I would have never thought of, right? So I ventured into certain, um, what do you call it? I guess work, that I never would have thought of outside of just regular customer service. And I'm like, hey, it started off on little things like, can you look at this document because I know you write and whatever. Okay. Next thing you know, I'm writing for publications. But it was because of this person saw this. Like, but it's not only just seeing that, because you saw that page, you saw that Nika and me, but I didn't have the exposure to these other people outside of that person.
Yeah.
Um, this same person is telling me, hey, tell your child they need to be taking golfing lessons. My kid's like, what? But in actuality, it was a good idea, because decisions and things of that nature are made on the golf course in upper echelon, type of yeah, this drink. You know what I mean? So basically, not for customer service stuff, right? But like for people who make decisions, those
But
are made in those.
our decisions not made over lunch too?
That too, but I'm just saying, and that's what my child was like. Couldn't we just do it at a page twist? Like, but it's just
No,
the
you
fact
can't do
that
that
it's,
a twist.
but it's a man's world. You know what I'm saying? And this is where men go to make decisions. They're talking about it over the golf course. Unfortunately,
And
not whether it's right or wrong.
it doesn't hurt to have that skill either, because they already underestimate you and feel like you don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. So for you to have that skill under your belt is an advantage for you.
But I don't
Right.
think that it matters that it's your mate or not. It matters that you just have the right people in your life and that you are focused on being successful. Because what if you're single? You can't be successful if you're single. It's if you're focused on your craft. So if you are in a marriage and you focused on foolishness, then you don't have time to be focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, because
Yeah.
you're trying to deceive your mate. You sneaking around and you putting all that effort into other stuff that you shouldn't be a part of. But because they're dedicated to being in their relationship and you focus on that, you can be open and honest with the person you're with at home and you lay in the bed with at night. Then y'all could discuss, and then having the right person in your life, that comes into play. Then because she can or he can say, well, I think you should try doing this. And then you try doing that and you're able to come back and say, yeah, baby, remember when you said I should do this and I did it and it worked, or I did it and that wasn't it. Instead of you having to remember, who did I have that conversation with? Did I have it with my wife or did I have it with my side piece?
Mm,
You know, like that's a lot. That's a lot.
right.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that these people are not faithful in their marriages, but I just feel like if you got to scream, I'm the smartest person in the room, then you're not the smartest person in the room.
And why do you want to be the smartest person
If you
in the
got to
room?
scream, I'm faithful to my wife, why do you have to keep telling us you're faithful to your wife? So that
Mm.
and that don't bother me. It ain't none of my business. They ain't my husband. I ain't sleeping with him. I ain't never seen him a day in my life outside of TV. But I don't know if their fidelity directly correlates to their success. I don't know, because it's a lot of people out there
I
that
think,
cheat and they got it.
and that's the thing though, we are created, this is my opinion, but I feel like we are created to be a helpmeet, right? So whether or not he is dedicated, these gentlemen we're speaking about are dedicated to living the life and things of that nature, you're still going to benefit off of this woman here to help you. Whether it's not even that that woman may not be giving you the right, she might not be able to tell you the who what rooms to be in, but because she held you down in that room with these kids you ain't got to worry about, because you had to come home and your food was, everything was done and everything of that nature was done, that's one less thing for you to worry about. So you were able to focus on this meeting that you got going on. So I'm not going to minimalize her role just because, or my role just because I'm not able to put you in that room. You're able to get in that room because you ain't got to worry about this house.
Um, I feel like when you can be successful single, absolutely. A lot of people are. You can be successful single. You can also be successful in a toxic relationship, absolutely. But
Okay, party.
imagine if you can be successful in a toxic relationship, you can be a successful single. Imagine what you can do if you took that path with the person that God wanted you to be with, your
Right.
person, your support, your help me, that person. And they don't have to be a successful person either. It's just something about somebody that you have in your corner that you know have your back no matter what, is your confidant, your ride or die. And I don't mean ride or die in the sense of like I'm out there doing stupid and you my ride or die, and you like somebody that supports you
No matter what.
110%. It is something about the way you move in the world and the way life presents itself to you, and those opportunities just come when you living on your path and you're with the person that you need to be with. Not saying, because I don't believe everybody is destined to be in a relationship. I don't believe that.
You're right. You're
I
right.
believe some people are here and being single is their path. And I don't think nothing is wrong with that. Because you can do the work that you need to do being single, because if X, Y, and Z, then you wouldn't be on the proper path that you're supposed to be on.
Now
That's
that's,
just how I
I
feel
agree.
about it. And I think that it does help both ways with a man and a woman. Think about Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey had money. He was doing great. We knew who Steve Harvey was before he married Marjorie. We knew who he was. He was doing things. He had his radio. Like he was doing things. We knew him. He made money. But if he says that this marrying this woman and being dedicated, his life changed, think about the trajectory of what he's doing now compared to what he was. I'm not saying that he ain't do wrong. I'm not going into that. I'm just focusing on him with Marjorie and the trajectory of where his career has gone since him dedicating himself to Marjorie. The same thing with Charlemagne the God. We knew who he was. I don't know him really to be a cheater and all that. I don't know all of that. I just know what he say. But since he has changed his life because I think the change in his life and the change in Steve Harvey's life got more to do with being a better person yourself and making the right choices yourself. And if making the right choices yourself involves you to be more dedicated to your family, your wife, then that's just a part of it. And that person in your life helps you to move forward. But Charlemagne the God is definitely in more seats and in the media more and more. Like you hear about him way more. He doing way more things than he
Yeah.
was doing, say,
I I
a few years ago.
I don't know. I know that I know a man who said out of his mouth in plain English words that he got married. Not saying he didn't love the person that he married. He loved her, I'm assuming, but he definitely got married just because it's it provided him an opportunity for advancement in his job in corporate America. Because what do you mean no?
No, no, no. I'm saying no because that's not the right reason to get married. That's what I'm saying. No, not that he didn't do it. I don't even know who you're talking about, but I'm just saying
That's
it's not the right reason to
no,
marry
it's not
somebody.
the right reason to marry someone. It's not. But that was the reason why he got married. And
It's
it,
the facade of I got it together.
right. So it does help to push you forward because it looks like you got it together in your home life. So in business, and then if you think about it, a lot of the people who are advanced in corporate America, not necessarily in the music industry or whatever, they are family men on paper, but and I know that a lot of times that when
Paper.
people are in business like that, like there's no time for you, like you working. Work is your family, and that's what you have to do. And you have to have somebody at home taking care of them kids and taking care of the household and taking care of everything because who's gonna do it? You can't do it. You're not there. You because you kind of just think about it like in a position if it's just you could pick up and leave at any time because it's just you. You go sleep on your friend couch until you figure it out. But you're not going to take you and your kids to go sleep on your friend couch until you figure it out. You have to stay here and you got to figure out, and that gives you more time to either get settled in this job and acquire more bills and more responsibilities so you can't just leave, or it gives you time to make a plan, an exit strategy, but still more time in that company. So you're not a wild card. You're not going to just pick up and leave. Most people, some people still will. But if it's just me, like I promise you, if it wasn't for my kids, I would have been cut it. I would have been quit. I would have been gone.
Oh,
Because I could go get a job at Walmart and sleep on my mama's sofa till I figure it out. But I can't do that with my children. Like they need stability and they need something to look up to. They need something to aspire to be better than. Because I don't want them to be like me. I want them to be better than me.
yeah.
So yes, I have a career, but this career ain't cutting it. So don't try to do this. And my daughter was like, "Mommy, I want to be with you." Or no, you don't. I'm not paying for that college. I
I
ain't
had
paying
that.
for none of those.
I had that
Not
same
one.
conversation with my
um
Nope.
niece.
yeah, going back to like that corporate, because I think that for me, I think that's like superficial success. Yeah. You can marry
Yeah.
into money. You can do all of those things where you feel like you doing, but you're not fully whole. You're not fully complete and you're not fully happy. What I am speaking
Mm-hmm.
of is when everything in your life is aligning and you are on your path. I can marry into money and be miserable. But to you, it looked like I'm having the time of my life. I'm vacationing here and I'm doing this and I'm driving that and I'm living in this and that's superficial because
It is.
inside you ain't really happy.
Yeah.
You don't
You're right.
have proper love that you really want because you married for money. So now you out there trying to find it with her and her and her or him and him and him because you ain't got it at home. So are you really happy? That's what I'm trying to say. You're
Yeah.
not. And I'm not looking for, and I know it ain't got nothing to do with me, but that's superficial. Like that don't appease to me. I don't want that.
I agree. I don't. But I do have moments of weakness that I would not mind being on the roster. Just 'cause I'm tired of working. Just if I could just give me an allowance. and I could just text. Like we don't have to go out on dates or anything. Just we could text randomly and be like, "Hey, beautiful," and I'm like, "Hey, good morning." He'd be like, "Dang, that was you responded fast. Here's $6,000." Like I would,
Wow.
I would
That's,
love that.
that's amazing. That's golly.
Not, that's real specific numbers.
Golly.
But do
You
I
respond as fast. There go $6,000.
want? Talking about I'm gonna have my phone right here all day, all day. What you doing? Cooking? What's up?
Nika, we at dinner. You gonna quality time. We hanging out. You ain't gonna put your phone away.
You want me to pay for this meal or no?
we about to go get in the water. You gonna take your phone with you? Yeah, you gonna be like
He bought me a waterproof watch. Now I'm not swimming. I'm just sitting here floating.
oh my god.
Like, but I do think that in life it doesn't necessarily have to be your mate, but you have to have balance, you have to have peace, and you have to be able to focus. And if you're not balanced, how can you focus? If you have no peace, then how can you focus? Because you're trying to scramble to get your shit together. And it's
But I think you have to have you have to have the right mate, because you can have all of those pieces to the puzzle, and that one, you ever put a puzzle together and you missing one piece
but what if that
and you can't find it
but what
and
if
it's incomplete?
but what if it's not necessarily a mate? What if it's just the person? You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be your mate. Because
But what if you're mated?
that
No,
everybody
I
not
don't
meant to be
agree.
in.
If you have, hold
You're
on.
not supposed
If you're single, no, it don't have to be the mate. I understand that. But if you're with somebody and your mate is wrong,
then it ain't gonna work.
that's what I'm trying to say. If you single, yeah, it don't have to be a mate, and you need to have like those pieces to the puzzle. I totally agree with that. But if you have those pieces to the puzzle together and the only thing missing is you got the wrong mate, you ain't gonna be able to move the way you're supposed to move, because that mate is gonna be a hindrance to you.
Always say God, black women, and therapy. You
Yes.
gotta have a queen on your side.
Man.
You gotta pour into your queen
Yes.
and do right by her.
Yes.
Like, yo, remember when Celie pointed that finger?
Yeah.
And Celie said, ain't no
Yeah,
good
yeah.
gonna come to you and tell you do right by me. Yo, my brothers, I promise you, man, if you do right by the woman that you love and the woman that loves you, you will see blessings like you've never seen before in your life. Like over the last 7 years, since I committed to myself more, I'm not gonna say committed to my wife, I committed to myself. I did the work on myself, and I
Yes.
said, yo, I'm gonna be a changed man. I'm gonna, evolve intentionally. I'm gonna do right by my wife and my family intentionally. Last 7 years, I've elevated in every way. And I said this before on the pivot, but it's true. Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. Always say,
A dude named Nuri Mohammed. I wish I had my phone, man. You could hear what this dude said about relationships. It's the coldest thing. He said, other than your relationship with God, who you choose to spend the rest of your life with is the single most important decision you will ever make. Because your other half will your other half will be your better half or make you half of what you could be. She will either inspire you to greatness or reduce you to mediocrity. And then at the end of it, he said, so choose wisely.